Dun, dun, dun. I want to watch it again. Have you got it on DVD?
Yeah.
I'll borrow it.
It's actually on Blu-ray, so I don't think you'll be able to play it.
Mate, I've got an Xbox. Don't
Can
give me
Xbox
that
play
shit.
Blu-rays?
Yes, Xbox One's been able to play
Can it
Blu-rays for
really?
years. Yes.
Oh, I thought it could only play HD DVDs.
You-
Hey.
oh my god, HD DVD. I forgot about that. We had one of those, but like you can't even trade that in anymore because it's like obsolete and
Really?
no one uses it. Yeah, I think it was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in HD DVD for some reason. Strange time, just like 3D TVs. Like everyone knew that was a phase and it was never going to catch on. Oh, look at that. Was it Sony invested all this money into 3D TVs?
Mm.
Did it go anywhere? Did it shit? No one
There was
wanted
like one
3D.
E3, wasn't there, where they came out and they were like, we're selling our own 3D TV, and you could sit either side of it and play split screen, but both with a full screen, and that was
Ah,
really cool.
yeah, but too expensive and not something the average gamer wants.
Mm.
Talking of average gamers, they're a virtual reality, not a shop, but a virtual reality place has opened in my hometown. I might have to try that. I've not actually ever tried VR.
Ooh,
Never
never
tried
tried
VR.
it.
No, no, the opportunity has never arisen. That was a bit of a phase as well. I don't really hear much about that anymore. Like the old PlayStation VR.
VR still on. Did you not see? I didn't put this in our notes, but Borderlands 2 is coming to PlayStation VR.
Whoa.
I
I
know.
swear Borderlands has been on every platform though. It was even on PlayStation Vita.
I was going to say famously the Vita version, which everyone wanted until they didn't.
Oh my god, it was awful. It was so bad. Barely worked. Crashed about every time you opened it, it crashed. On a good day. I mean, if it crashed less than 3 times, it was a good day in Borderlands 2 on Vita. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? Well, Chris, I made it despite your directions. Anyway, that's just
I don't get it.
a dank meme reference there for you.
What's that? Whoa, whoa,
Very
whoa,
good.
whoa, 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 whoa! What are you referencing? I hate when you say stuff like that and then move on.
Steamed hams.
I know what steamed
You,
hams are because The Simpsons.
yes, it's
Oh,
a
is that from
meme.
the same bit?
Yeah, yeah, it's from the bit where Superintendent Chalmers opens the door or knocks on the door and says, "Well, Seymour, I made it despite your directions." Ah, Superintendent Chalmers,
See,
welcome. I'm sure you're looking forward to an incredible luncheon. Ah. I've read you the whole thing. I've watched that so many times. There's so many good videos on YouTube of different versions of it. I know it's about a year old, but that is a dank meme that keeps on giving.
is that your
I like
favorite Simpsons scene, or is your favorite Simpsons scene? I've been beating him, starving him, singing to him off key.
Mummy,
Mummy,
mama.
mummo, mummo, mummy.
Bake him away, boy. Bake him away, toys. Chief Wiggum, my boy. He is my boy.
Underrated.
But I don't know why I perched my mouth was in the position as if I was going to say a word that began with the letter F, but I wasn't. So I was a bit confused there because I went, but then had nothing to say. So what I will say is, thank you for listening to Heroes of Handheld. This is episode 233 of Heroes of Handheld, the podcast dedicated to handheld gaming. We do like to talk about gaming every now and then, and more specifically, the handheld variety. So that includes PlayStation Vitas, PSPs, mobile, that's iOS, Android, Nokia, any mobile device that plays games, and most importantly, the Nintendo Switch. I'm Colin, one of your hosts. I'm joined by the man in the big L in the big city. There was a cartoon that was called Sheep in the Big City, which I used to watch on Cartoon Network. And I can't help but think that that's very, very relevant when I talk about Chris. You're like the big sheep in the city.
What was sheep? What was sheep in the big city about?
It was about a sheep in the big city. That's literally what it was.
Oh, great.
It was this sheep that escaped from a farm, and there
Yeah.
was this army general who was trying to catch him. But then the farm was trying to catch him as well. And so he had to keep running away from them. But it only lasted like one season on Cartoon Network. There are a lot of great cartoons back in the day on Cartoon Network. That was that was a great one. Johnny Bravo, Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Cow and
What else?
chicken.
Cow and Chicken was one of my favorites. Like I Am Weasel and I
I
Are
am
Baboon.
Weasel and I am Baboon. Yeah. Angry
Oh,
Beavers.
yeah. Well, that wasn't Cartoon Network. That was Nickelodeon, I think, but still good. Cat Dog, Rugrats.
The cat dog was really good.
SpongeBob, obviously, still going strong. There's one more Cartoon Network one. Let's think of another. I said Johnny Bravo, didn't I? What's another one? The Crab Twins.
The dog, the stupid thingy, the cowardly dog.
Oh, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
That was dark, that one. It was actually quite creepy in some of the episodes.
They all had a little bit of creep to it.
Yeah. Oh, good times. Just fun fact for you, if you were a fan of Ed, Edd n Eddy, the whole, there's a channel on YouTube that plays them non-stop, 24 hours a day. So I'd recommend doing that because that's great. And also Recess as well. Recess was great. That was Disney Channel. I'll be well keen for a Recess ride at Disney. Anyway, let's talk about some gaming shenanigans. I think let's just quickly say, what have you been playing this week, Chris? What have you been doing?
Colin, very briefly and then very expansively, on my mobile, I've been playing a game called 2 Words with Susie Dent. Now, Susie Dent, star of Countdown, you know, Susie in Dictionary Corner. And this is a game for. And I would say it's a bit like Words with Friends, except it's slightly more tactical because on Words with Friends or Scrabble or any of those games, the board sticks across multiple turns, but on 2 Words, you just play against your opponent's most recent word. So the board is so basically every time you play, there's 1 word on the board for you to play off. So you can get some and you can play on top of people's words, and it's a puzzle game. It syncs with Facebook, so you can challenge people on there. You can play with randoms and with bots as well. It's quite adverts heavy. You get a commercial break fairly often. You have to watch an advert if you want to swap all your tiles. But it's good. It's like a good brain teaser, and it's nice. Like, it's my favorite type of kind of online mobile game because it's one you can do a couple of turns on and then put your phone to the side and then come back like an hour later. So I'd recommend it. I think you'd like it, actually. You quite like this. Is your sort of jam.
Yeah, I've already played it, mate.
Have you?
Yeah, I spoke about it a couple of months ago on the podcast. Thanks for listening.
No, did you really?
Yeah, when we did one of our sandwich episodes. Yeah, I downloaded it. Got a bit bored after about a week or so. It's just like your typical word game, isn't it? It's like all the other ones. But I always found like the words I created were rubbish in comparison to everyone else's, so I just got fed up.
Yeah, I do wonder how often people are swapping their letters, because some of them it's like, no way did you end up with a Q and 2 Z's like accidentally.
Yeah. Z for the UK listeners.
Yes, true. Tell me what you've been playing, and then I want to tell you about Super Mario Party.
Well, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 1. I downloaded it. Well, I didn't download it. I had it on Xbox 360, but never got around to actually properly playing it. And I installed it onto my Xbox One with backwards compatibility. And I've been playing it, not a lot, but I've played probably about an hour's worth, maybe just a bit more. And I'm really enjoying it. As I messaged you earlier this week saying John Marsden is my boy. He's just so darn lovely. And it's great. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I love it when all the stars are out. I love the world. The story's there doesn't seem to be much of a story. There is a basic story. But I don't know. What's interesting about it is normally for open world RPGs like this, there's like a main story that you can tackle, but then there's loads of side missions around it. But I'm not finding that. I'm just finding there's loads of side missions and not really a main story arc in it. Maybe I've just not noticed it, or I've just focused on the wrong things. But really love it. Like the characters so far. The writing's really cool. The towns are nice. I like the wanted posters and having to find bandits and things like that. I like all the little side missions where you have to either be nice or just get the job done by using guns and whatnot, increasing your honor and your fame. But yeah, really digging it. I can see myself spending a lot of time in this. And it's made me realize that actually I did play a fair bit of it before. I told you I did start it a couple of years ago, but never got around to getting past the first few levels. But a lot of it's like coming back to me and I'm familiar with. So I must have played a lot more than I thought back in the day. But yeah, about an hour in, I've done a few of the missions with, what's her name? The lady? Betty? Bonnie? I think it's Bonnie. Bonnie, yeah. And also with the sheriff from Armadillo. which have been fun as well. Trying to get him to help me with trying to take down the bandit. But yeah, really cool. And the reason I'm playing it is because obviously Red Dead Redemption 2 is out very soon, and I think I want to play that. I also want to play the new Assassin's Creed because I think that looks really cool, set in like old time Greece. I think that looks fun. So yeah, been playing Red Dead Redemption.
Really good things about Assassin's Creed.
Red Dead Redemption is fun. That's what I've been playing, but a bit behind the times because that game has been out for a very long time. But I'm finally getting there. Thank you, Rockstar. You've done well. Now tell me about Super Mario Party.
So, Colin, I want to give you a little bit of introduction to this. Is that I wasn't planning on getting Super Mario Party, but I saw it in Asda and it was like £44 or something, and I was like, "Oh, that seems like quite a good deal." And then my partner was like, "Well, because we're going away in a couple of weeks for a weekend, and we've got like a 5-hour train journey," and she was like, "Well, this would be really good for the train." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I guess it could." And I'll tell you what. Mario Party, I've got fond memories of playing on the N64. I played the GameCube one. I played the Wii one. I even played the DS one a lot. And this is a really, really good Mario Party. It's really fun. The mini games are excellent. I was a little bit kind of worried because every mini game that you do, you play one-handed with one Joy-Con. And at first I was like, oof, I want to use my Pro Controller. But actually, the mini games have all been designed around that fact, and there's like really smart use of the gyroscope, really smart use of the HD rumble. You can play as loads and loads of different characters. There's lots of different modes. So there's a kind of normal board mode. There are only 4 boards, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's fine because they are a lot. I would say they're a lot smaller, so you go around them a lot more. Whereas before there were lots of boards, but they were so big, parts of it you just didn't see at all. There's a really good co-op mode where you're all going down a river and you have to try and like paddle your boat down whilst also picking up mini games and points on the way. There's a really, really fun, and I think people are sleeping on this mode. There's a really fun rhythm game one where you play as you go up on stage and you play against people in the room or computers or both. And all the games are mini games, and it's about doing stuff to a beat and doing stuff to a rhythm, and it's so good. And like the music is just insane. And we got back on Saturday. We'd been out to see can't remember what we've been doing, maybe seeing a film. And we got back and we were like, "Oh, what should we do? Oh, let's just try the rhythm mode out." And this was at like midnight. And it's like, let's just give it a quick go. And we were playing for about an hour and a half because the music's so good, you just want to keep playing because you're just like living to the tune of to the beat of these tunes. Some parts of it are a little frustratingly designed. I would say that it suffers a little bit from Mario Tennis syndrome, which is that sometimes it's a little bit slow and clunky to play certain things. Like the animations are quite long. Whenever you find a star, there's then this really big cutscene of Toadette like flying to another part of the map, and then you see the scores, and then you see this, and it's like it could be a little bit nippier, but I think that's something they will patch in when V 1.5 comes out or whatever. Unlockable characters, loads of mini games, some really fun and original ways of using the Joy-Cons, real nice mix of stuff. Yeah, I really like it. I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Is your favorite mini game the one where you're all on little tricycles and you're on a running track?
Oh my god, have you played it? You would really. I think it would be a good one for you and your other half to play.
She refuses to play games. Come on, man.
Yeah, but this is the one that will hook her in.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen mixed reviews for it, to be honest. I think a lot of people have said about frustrating elements of it. How many mini games are there in total?
Over 80.
That's crazy. What's your favorite one?
I like. There's one. The ones I really like are the 3 versus 1 ones, where one person plays on their own and the other 3 play as a team. There's a really good one of that where you have the one person is in a ball in the middle and the 3 are on the outside with crossbows, and they have to launch sticky darts and hit the thing. But you only get 5 darts, but you can use the darts to block the ball into a certain part. It's really hard to describe, but it's a very, very fun game. all of them are fun. That's the thing. So far, there hasn't really been a mini game that we've hit and been like, oh, let's skip this one. Like they've all been good to play, and I think that's quite rare actually for a mini game collection like this to have like consistently solid output.
Oh yeah, I'd say it is rare. Normally, there's a lot of dead rubber on there.
Yeah,
But
I think like Crash Bash, there was some shit on there.
oh, Crash Bash was all pure. That's pure gold, all killer, no filler.
I love Crash.
I think actually no, I think you're right. That wasn't there like a pogo stick one, which was a bit annoying. We had to try and get the most squares. Yeah, that one was a bit of rubbish. But the one we have to throw crates at each other, that was fun.
Oh yeah, the crate one was good. The oh yeah, it's great. Great.
Or you're riding polar bears, have to knock each other off the ice. That was also pretty fun.
There have been, yeah. Crash Bash is, I think, due a resurgence. Combo that with a Crash Bandicoot kart.
Yes,
reversion.
I love that. Bash was a game that people don't realize, but when if they have to play it again now, they'll realize that it was a golden game and it was fantastic. People just don't think of it because they think about the original 3. But Crash Bash is great, so fun. Made by a different developer though, wasn't it? Wasn't by
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a different developer took over that one because the animations were a bit different and it was a bit odd. So like Crash Bash was by developers Kearney Games, Eurocom. Published by Sony, developed by Eurocom. So it was like a one because I think the original developer didn't want to do anymore. But it was still great. Oh, I just think a video. Oh, the pinball one was fun as well. Oh man,
iconic.
I get back into that shit. Right, Chris, I want to talk about some good news. Good news. You know, The Walking Dead's back. The TV show is back. It's back on your screen.
Yes, I've heard.
I think you're a fan. What did you think of the first episode of season 8? I think it's 8.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, brill. Well, I know what happened because I read the review and read the spoilers because I ain't going to watch it and I love being spoiled on things like that. I fell out of love with The Walking Dead a long time ago because it just got a bit frustrating. But
you were one of the original people I remember going on about how great it was.
It was great.
I remember you being like, oh, it's just like, it's like comics, Chris, but you can watch it on the TV.
Yeah, and there's a man who's in Love Actually. But talking of that man, as you know, Andrew Lincoln is leaving the series, and he is better known as Rick Grimes, the main character from The Walking Dead. So that's the big thing for this season. Anyway, why am I talking about The Walking Dead? Well, one of the creators of the comic book series, which is where The Walking Dead came from, the comic series and the visual novels. Was it visual novels? No, it was graphic novels. What I meant. Robert Kirkman. So as you know, Telltale, they got into a spot of bother about a month ago now, a couple of weeks ago, where they got rid of all their employees. They had no money, and all their projects were dropped. And it was just a bit of a shitstorm, really. No severance pay for any of their employees. Loads of lawsuits. Just a bit of a shit show. And it was very sad for us here at Heroes of Handheld Towers because we're big fans of Telltale. We like their games. We like their story-driven games. And The Walking Dead was probably their picture child. That's what made them... I mean, before their Walking Dead series came out, they had, a bit of a fan base because of games they'd released previously. They had Jurassic Park, they had Back to the Future, and a few other games as well. There was one which had 2 people's names in. It was something and something.
Sam and Max.
That's the one, Sam and Max. So they're popular then. But The Walking Dead launched them into the stratosphere and got them really popular. We discussed this in the previous podcast, so go listen to that. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because people were worried because The Walking Dead, the final season, was in production and the first episode had been released when they announced that they were going under. Telltale. So there's a lot of questions as to what's happening with the Walking Dead series. Will it be completed? Well, they released the second episode right around the time that the news came out, and then it was said like they didn't know what was going to happen with the final. I think it's 5 episodes in this season. Or is it 6? I know sometimes they put 6 in.
I think it's only a 4-part season, isn't it?
Shit. Well, there you go. So the last 2 episodes, a bit up in the air as to what was going to happen. They didn't rule out it being picked up by someone else, but didn't know for sure. But it's now been confirmed that Robert Kirkman, who is the creator of The Walking Dead, one of the creators, and also the guy who founded Skybound, a gaming company, Skybound Games, he's announced that Skybound Games have got the rights to the game and they're going to be finishing it themselves. And he announced this at New York Comic Con last week or earlier this week. And one of the best quotes, he said, "We can't lose Andrew Lincoln and Clementine in the same year," which is a very good statement there. So it's good to know that we're gonna. I think it'd be such a shame after all the seasons they released and the story and the journey we've been on with Clementine for it not to have an ending. I just hope it actually is a good ending. I don't know how Telltale works or how they used to work in terms of their stories. Did they have an outline of where I'd imagine they probably had a start point and an end point, but how they got to those points, they probably decided as they went along. Because it was interesting that they released 2 episodes of The Walking Dead final season, but they hadn't made or started, from what we gather, they hadn't started work on the next 2 episodes at all. So it's almost like they have the end point, but then they make up the rest as they go along, maybe? Don't know.
I don't know. I feel like they must have decided obviously all the episodes would have been in various stages of production, but I was under the impression that like at the start of the process, they all sit down and say, like, here's where episode 1, 2, 3, and 4 should end, and then they just take them through kind of as a priority. But sometimes there's been parts, I can't think of an example, but there's been parts, hasn't there, where you've been playing part 3 or 4 and they make a reference to something stupid from part 1 or 2 that was like a glitch or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about? That happened in one of them.
Which one was that?
It was one of the I think it was one of the Walking Dead. And it was something like one of the characters made a throwback to someone saying something like glitchy that they shouldn't have said in the first one. I'm sure that's a thing.
Probably, yeah. I'm not surprised. It wouldn't surprise me. But what's interesting about this as well is that they're going to be employing people who worked, who were part of the original team who created the game from Telltale. They haven't announced how many people they'll be employing or the financial information surrounding the deal for them to get the rights to it. But the main thing we can take from this is that people who worked on the original game or the original story and this new season have now got a bit more work. I don't know whether they're going to be employed by Skybound on a long-term basis, but we're also, it's sort of the best of both worlds. The story is going to be continued, and these very talented developers and story makers are potentially back in work, which is good. And there is a quote from an interview with Robert Kirkman where he says, "This has nothing to do with Telltale Games and everything to do with the people involved with making the Walking Dead game and trying to take care of them in the meantime the best way we can," which is nice. That's very nice.
Yeah, that interview is really, it's on Variety if you've not read it, and it's Dan Murray, who's the president of Skybound, and it's really interesting actually, because he's basically kind of coming out and saying like, we want to do this partly because we want to finish the story, but also mainly because we feel like those people were mistreated by Telltale. And he's quite like, he doesn't hold back on saying that Telltale was poorly managed, which is quite interesting. He's not coy about it. So anyway, it's a good read.
Yeah, well, they must have been poorly managed for to get where it got to be honest. Now, thinking on to this, like you put an article in here about how Skybound are also planning to release season 2 and season 3 of The Walking Dead
on Switch.
On Switch, yeah. So was this common knowledge that they were doing this?
Yeah, so season 1 was already a thing, and then they said we were going to do season 2 and 3 at some point, and so that's why I put it in there, because someone on Twitter, on Reddit, user Augustinson messaged Skybound Games, "Is it still coming on Switch?" And then they said, "Yeah, we still plan on releasing it on Switch. Stay tuned." So good bit of news, but hopefully a lot of people will buy this so that the money can get back to people who lost their jobs.
Yeah. So this means Skybound already had their finger in the pie with The Walking Dead. Then, if they're releasing them,
no. But what it means is Telltale were originally going to do 2 and 3 on Switch.
Oh, but Skybound are taking that over.
Skybound are taking over, including the remastering of 2 and 3.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's a little bit murky.
But what's exciting is we're going to get guacamole. Guacamole. I love Mexican food. We were talking about Taco Bell before the show, actually.
We were, weren't we?
Yeah. So Guacamelee, which was a platformer, very colourful platformer. We're from Drinkbox Studios, which I think, did you play it, Chris? I know I played a bit of it.
Yes, I played it on Vita actually.
Yes,
that was
back
Yeah, it was the PlayStation Plus game at some point. That was really good. Drinkbox obviously got a very good relationship with handheld gaming. They were, big saviors of the Vita, and obviously love making stuff for Switch as well because, they tweeted that Super Turbo Championship Edition of Guacamelee is coming to Switch, and number 2 will come out in December as well, which is great. I mean, it's a Metroidvania 2D kind of platformer. It's very, very fun, very stylized. If you've recently watched things like Coco, or if you're playing the most recent Tomb Raider, that's got some stuff set during the Day of the Dead. This is a whole game set during that Day of the Dead festival, and it's so glorious. It's so lovely and gorgeous to look at. So I can't wait to play this on Switch.
I also like the animation of the main character when he was running around. I thought that was
it's amazing.
Cool.
It's so
it's
good.
Fascinating to watch. So that's exciting. Games that were once big on Vita are being revitalized for Switch, which I guess is nice. Very nice. Right. So let's talk about. There's so many things to talk about here. There's one thing I just want to bring up, actually. PSN. Now, this is something that people have been talking about all week. I've seen it mentioned on Twitter, on Facebook, and all different social media platforms about how now you can change your online ID on PSN. So this is a big deal for people. And why is that?
It's not quite now, but basically PlayStation have finally said, after years and years of people asking, that in early 2019 there's going to be a beta program where people can go and change their PSN names to a new username. It's going to be, I think, free to do it the one time. Then after that, it's going to cost $10, or for Plus members, it's going to cost $5. And you can do it through the settings menu, and some games will still display your old ID, but going forward, new ones will display your new one. And it's a big deal because up until now, you've not previously been able to do it. There's not been a way of transferring your name to a new profile name. There was a way of transferring purchases, but not trophies, because sometimes people would have a name like, bad example, but like, the name ISIS is a popular lady's name in certain parts of the world. And obviously, when ISIS, the terrorist organization, rose to fame, people with PSN names to do with ISIS, it's like, wow, can I change my name? And PlayStation previously were like, you can, but you'll lose all your trophies. And I think something else, save data as well. And now this is a way that people will be able to change their PSN names for free. And some of us, Colin, me included, have had our PSN network IDs for, almost 10 years. So it's very good to be able to change it.
So is this similar to when you create an email address when you're 16 and then it gets to you're in your 20s, then you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking back then?
Am I allowed to talk about Love Like Rockets?
That was a great name. I still remember that when we were at university and we were going around. I don't know why our teacher made us do this. I don't even remember who it was. But we had to go, I think that this was with you. We had to go around the room and give our contact details out for some reason. I don't know why we were doing that.
We were making a contact. We were making a contact book.
Yeah, but it's GDPR would not agree with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And everyone was, I was like, surely someone's gonna have a address, but everyone was just like Bobkins at whatever.com. It was just everyone's name. And like I was the only one who had an email address when I was about 16. It was like a lyric from a song. But like what was popular ones back in the day? It's like XXX baby chick _12XXX, those sort of things.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's horrendous. Jeez. Well, at least now you'll be able to change it. This is a really big deal. 2019, the beta starts. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you've got a name you really want to get rid of.
Yeah, there you go.
Get rid of Enter the Flea.
Never. Enter the Flea stays forever. Enter the Flea wasn't even my original name. The original one was Flea Wannabe.
Ooh, why'd you change it?
Don't know. I like my name now because I don't know about you, but whenever I see someone playing a game online and they've got like proper words in their name with spaces, I think, oh my God, they're actually proper professional. Like if I see someone's username is just like, I don't know, Xbox Basher 123 or something stupid like that with numbers and symbols in, I don't really take it seriously. But if someone's got full words, a phrase, and spaces, you take them a bit more seriously and you think they're a good gamer and they know what they're doing. So I'd like to think my name, Enter the Flea, with spaces really does intimidate other gamers, even though it's a false sense of intimidation because I'm terrible at most games I play online, especially Call of Duty. But there you go. And that's my story there.
Chris,
Pokemon.
right.
So we've got Gen 4 coming to Pokemon Go 2. Chris, I'm going to have to upgrade the storage in my backpack again at this rate. There's just too many Pokemon. Not rucksack. What is it? You need to your inventory. So when you collect Pokemon, I need more space. So this is the 4th generation Sinnoh. And when are we getting these? Coming weeks, is it? What? So they've released a video with details and teasing these Pokemon. They haven't actually said when it's coming out, but they've also revealed details of some changes to Pokemon's behavior, migration, weather, and things like that are going to be coming into play within the next few weeks. And it's interesting, like in this not massive, but in this press release that came out yesterday, they say they're making adjustments to the weather and that moving forward, it will have a reduced effect on the rate at which Pokemon appear. No, I don't know. I really like the weather effects in Pokemon Go. I think that's a really good thing they added in. It works really well, I thought. So it's interesting. Maybe they've had complaints from people saying maybe it's like if it's like, you've got a week of rain and all you're getting is like specific Pokemon, it must get a bit annoying.
Yeah, the other thing as well that I think is probably to do with is that if they make it so that, when it's windy and cold and wet, you get these Pokemon. People don't want to go out and play when it's windy and cold and wet. So I can kind of understand it. But they've said as well that certain areas like parks and nature reserves are going to have more varied Pokemon species. And there's loads of gameplay changes as well in terms of things like CP values are being adjusted. HP values are going to be brought down a little bit to close the gap between high and low Pokemon, which is great because every gym you go past is Blissey, Snorlax, Chansey, Dragonite.
Blisseys are the bane of my life. Bloody hate Blisseys. Oh, so annoying.
Interestingly as well, they've said that Pokemon defense and stamina values will be retroactively rebalanced, allowing highly defensive Pokemon to be valuable in battle by outlasting opponents rather than simply running out the clock, which is quite an interesting game change. So yeah, this is more on the Pokemon website. And yeah, Sinnoh, my bet, Colin, and this is what they did last year and it worked really well, is I think Halloween event, you have a couple of ghosty and darkies, like dark Pokemon, ghost Pokemon, psychic Pokemon come out to play and then properly launch in November.
Well, they've got the event at the moment, haven't they, of all the psychic Pokemon?
Oh, yes. Maybe it would just be ghost ones and dark ones.
Yeah,
Ghosties,
last year it was all the
darkies, all
ghost
that
area,
stuff.
wasn't it? So that's interesting. And more Pokemon is always good because at the moment it's getting a bit stale for me because it's just the same Pokemon over and over again. But another announcement came out today. You remember a few weeks ago we had all the big meltdown online about Melton, this new Pokemon that when you caught it would turn into Ditto. Well, a news article, not really an article, but a news bulletin has come out via the app. And it looks like there's going to be some research tasks based around this Melton coming out before the end of the year. And, they released a video a couple of weeks ago as well with Professor Willow and Professor Oak talking about this new Pokemon. Well, they've actually revealed and uploaded a new video. So I've not seen it yet, but there's a link on this article on Pokemon Go. So I'll check that out. I'm sure it's very cute and very fun. Apparently, from the research that Professor Oak and Willow have done, they think Melton is cute and innocent. Very in-depth there. But there's going to be some special research tasks coming out within the next few weeks. And they say beginning later this year. So obviously there's not much longer left with this year now. So it's going to be within the next few months. So that'll be interesting as well. More information there as we get it. So it looks like rather than catching Dittos, you might actually be able to catch a Melton, which would be nice. This new mythical Pokemon with a bolt for a head.
Imagine for a second, Colin. Go with me on this. Imagine if you had two leading professors and a new animal was discovered in the real world. And the animals were like, and the professors were like, we've done a lot of research and we think they are cute.
We've done extensive research. They seem cute.
Yes.
And that's what our degrees have got us. It's all come down to this point. So yeah, lots of exciting things coming to Pokemon Go. It's just in a great place. I know we moaned about Pokemon Go a lot when it first started, but I think it really is in a great place, and I love it. I play it constantly. I'm on it every day basically. It's very rare there's a day when I don't play it. So yeah, just very happy where Pokemon Go is at the moment. All very exciting. Big things. What we're going to talk about now? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Or
yeah, I've got a couple of little things just to touch on.
Go on then.
Chucklefish announced the day before yesterday, or possibly yesterday, that Stardew Valley is coming to mobile. This is very big. It comes out October the 24th. It's going to be on iOS, on iPhone, and on iPad as well. And just going on the store now, where you can pre-order it if you're so interested. It costs £7.99, which I think is quite a good deal. All touchscreen based, obviously, because it's playing for mobile. This is one of those ones where I'm kind of surprised this wasn't already out on iPad, especially. But I think it's going to do really well. And the only thing I hope is that there's some sort of decent save mechanic, so that when you close your phone and come back, you don't have to start a day all over again.
Yeah.
Because obviously, playing on the bus or whatever, you might not be able to do a whole. Because in Stardew Valley, getting to the end of the day is quite important. So yeah, that comes 24th October. Really excited about that. And a teeny weeny bit of news is that a couple of new Switch Online games have come out, some NES games for the Switch Online service, including a special Legend of Zelda, which is kind of comes with a load of equipment, so you can get started a bit easier on there. Also, NES Open Tournament Golf, Solomon's Key, and Super Dodgeball. And interestingly, Colin, I put a survey up on our Twitter earlier at Handheld Podcast, thanks to the follow, because I was curious what people's kind of interaction was with Nintendo Service Online, to see whether people were buying it and all this kind of stuff. So, to give you the latest results, how many of you have bought Nintendo's online service? 32% have done it, 68% haven't. That's a lot bigger to the haven't than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I haven't. I've not even thought about it, to be honest. Yeah, I remember this last week we were like, oh, we should play a game over the weekend. Let's play Splatoon. And then we're like, oh, yeah, we haven't got Nintendo online services. Oh, well.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm just so I'm so unmotivated to do it because
yeah, same. I don't think I need to.
Yeah,
I've got other different. I can play games on Nintendo Switch, but I don't feel like I need to have the online experience with them. Like, if I want a good online experience from a gaming point of view, I'll go to my Xbox. Because I think with Xbox Live, you're going to get good quality, good matchmaking, and all that stuff. And I think with Nintendo Switch, it's been a bit. It's been a bit iffy, when it was free. There were some issues with connecting to different games and playing games in general. And we've spoke about this, how we hope that with the new paid element that would improve the service, but we just don't know for sure. So when we've got other avenues and other ways of playing games online with friends or online with randoms, we don't need Nintendo. I'm sure one day I will get it.
Yeah. For me, I'll probably get it when Smash Bros comes out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure most people will wait till then. To be honest with you, I'll probably wait till then as well, because without online, there's not really much to do on Smash Bros. Is there? I'm assuming is there a campaign or is it?
Yeah, there's normally a campaign, and there's local as well, which is arguably the better way to play a fighting game. But that's by the by.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. It is interesting, but I'm not actually that surprised. It seems like since they launched the online services last month, there just hasn't been much talk about it. I've not really seen much news about it, about how well it's doing, how many people have subscribed. It's interesting that Nintendo haven't released any figures, or maybe they have, and I've just missed it. But yeah, that's be interesting. There's one more bit of news here, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. Google Plus is closing. And it was revealed that there was a data leak potentially a couple of months ago, which Google covered up. So yeah, that's bad. Google Plus, we hardly knew ye. But then I do worry because we use Google Plus to do this podcast through Google Hangouts, which is linked to our Google Plus account. So we're waiting to see how this is going to affect us.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Hopefully, I'm assuming Google Hangouts will stay because it's actually linked to YouTube, to be honest. So it's linked to our YouTube channel. So we should be okay. But yeah, watch this space on that. They say it's going to close within the next 10 months. And I saw there was a statement from one of the CEOs of Google who said on average, a normal person will spend 5 seconds on Google Plus. 5 seconds.
Wow.
That is crazy. I remember when it first launched and they're like, oh, it's Google trying to beat Facebook and Instagram and all these different social media. Even one of our lecturers at uni was trying to push Google Plus. And I remember we had to add people to our circles and stuff.
Yeah, you had to get an invite, didn't you?
Yeah, it's invite only. Yeah. Invite. Oh god, that must be about I think it's been 8 years since it launched. I think it was 2010. God, 8 years. That's crazy. I'm surprised. I mean, a lot of people are probably surprised it's still there. I think wasn't there controversy back in the day where you had to create a Google Plus account to be able to do stuff on YouTube? I think it was all linked together, so you had to create one. And people were like, we don't want the Google Plus accounts, but they sort of made you have one. So most people probably have one, but never use it. I tried to use it back in the day, and it was a cool concept, but yeah, it just didn't catch on. It's very difficult for these things to catch on, like Facebook. Once there's established brands out there, it's very rare that a new one will come along and get the same.
Them.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think we've got the established ones now. Anyway, I think that's it. Are we done?
I think that probably is it too, as well.
Yeah,
I think that is. But it's been a pleasure, Colin.
It's been really good, actually. And how can people get in contact with us if they would like to discuss anything Handheld gaming?
Here's the thing.
Go on, Chris. Come on, here we go.
You can tweet us at Handheld Podcast. You can email us, heroesofhandheld@gmail.com. You can go to the website, heroesofhandheld.wordpress.com. You can go on our Facebook, search for Heroes of Handheld. That is the easy way to do it. And I will say, as we approach 233 is today's episode, so as we approach 250, we'd love to hear from you. So, if you're like a kind of quiet listener who downloads every week and listens to the podcast every week, give us a little tweet and say hello at Handheld Podcast. We would love to hear from you, what you've been playing. Are you still like a Vita head? Are you back on the Switch hype? What's going on with you? Let us know. And Colin, I'm really looking forward to next week because I will have played a lot more Mario Party by next week, and I will have a proper answer when you ask me what my favorite minigame is.
I want to see pictures, and I want you to record things and upload it.
I mean,
that's what I'd really like.
Do it yourself.
I haven't got the game. Can't do it, mate. Playing Red Dead. Sorry.
That's right.
My boy John. Thank you for listening, everybody. Back same time, same place next week, Wednesday evening. Uploaded on a Thursday. Have a great week. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.